celebrated only once a year, it should really be celebrated every day. And the more conscious we are of protecting and preserving our environment, the more future generations will inherit a planet blessed with God's creations, where food and water are bountiful for all mankind. Joining us tonight on NewsLife is Secretary Nereus Acosta, Presidential Advisor on the Environment and General Manager of the Laguna Lake Development Authority. Good evening, sir. Welcome to NewsLife.
Good evening, Mr. Ball. Good evening.
Sir, straight to the point, what is the state of our environment and has it improved under the Aquino administration?
Well, the state of our environment is really one of, all told, degradation. Land, air, water, our seas. And it really is in a serious state of, or in serious need of repair and restoration. Under the Aquino government, we always say that it's not just a tuwid na daan thrust, it's a tuwid na daan sa luntiang paraan. You also have to look beyond just governance and anti-corruption, also to the ecological way of restoring really those sources of life, our land, our air, our forests, our rivers, our waters, our lakes. So our seas, our oceans, those that give us water and food security. So that's really the thrust of the Office of the Presidential Advisor for Environmental Protection, and with a special focus on the Laguna Lake Basin, which is the biggest in the country.
What is being done about the Laguna Lake District? I mean, what...
Well, there's so much to focus on because you have the Metro Manila, entire metropolis, plus Calabarzon, Rizal, Laguna, parts of Cavite, Quezon, and Batangas. And you have practically already about a fifth of the country's population around the entire lake basin. Remember, you can fit the whole of Metro Manila onto the west side of the lake. That's how big the lake is. It's our source of food, fisheries, for agriculture, for irrigation, the whole watershed, about almost 500,000 hectares, and then you have the whole of Metro Manila. So you have to ensure that industries, water quality, pollution control, river protection, flood control, dami, shoreland fisheries, fishments. So we're trying to do so many of those at the same time.
So I'm guessing people, education of your people as well in the area, in terms of fishing.
Absolutely. In fact, Isabel, it's really a lot of capacity building. It's a lot of even consciousness, the mind shifts that we need from all generations, no, from all sectors, intergenerational, I mean, because it's really a concerted effort that we really need, not just for the Laguna Lake Basin, but for the whole country. It's really about protecting what gives us life. Because if you don't have that, you don't have your forests, you won't have your watersheds. No watersheds, no water, no water, no rice, no energy, no food. You know, it's just simply that. And that's why it has to be multi-pronged all throughout.
Absolutely, sir. Forest. What is the anti-illegal logging campaign of the government succeeding? Well,
it's succeeding in many parts, but there's so much work to be done in more critical ecosystems, especially the lower Sierra Madre and even all the way to the northern Sierra Madre, which are protected areas. And the lower Sierra Madre is what really feeds the whole Marikina watershed, Pagsanhan, Lumban, and also areas like Mount Banahaw, Mount Makiling. So these are really areas that we need. There are success stories, and even in Mindanao, but there's so much really work to be done on the enforcement side.
Okay. Yeah. So success stories in terms of replanting.
Replanting, in terms of communities really protecting the forest, in terms of community-based initiatives, even as simple as planting bamboos along river banks, because that helps the anti-erosion. It helps in terms also of making sure that we are able to clean the water. They're what we call wet, even near mouths of rivers. And so in that respect, the National Greening Program of the President, the moratorium on logging as a whole have had success stories. But if you want to really look at the general picture of logging or poaching in protected areas in the last remaining rainforests of the country, that's where we really have to double, triple our efforts.
So if we could put it in terms of years, how many years have we got left to really reforest the country?
Well, I always say we should have reforested like 50 years ago. We're down to less than 3% of primary growth forest, okay? So it's really just the sliver of Sierra Madre, it's bits of Mindanao and Caraga, and a little bit here and there in Palawan. Maybe Palawan has the most forest cover left, but all told, the massive reforestation really has to do with our own survival, because as I said, if you cannot restore ecology, there will be no base for the economy, because that's really your very source for food, water, energy security, all told.
So moving on, actually related still, but is the implementation of the Clean Air Act improving the quality of the air we breathe, since pollution is a major problem, especially in Metro Manila?
Well, I was the principal author of the Clean Air Act when I was a congressman representing Bukidnon province in Mindanao, and as well as the Clean Water Act and the Solid Waste Management Act. I'd like to look at it still as half full, half empty. Because of the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, and other environmental laws, we've been able to have more teeth. We know what to implement, what to enforce. But governance is still the challenge, and so we need to make sure that, you have to be consistent all throughout. If you really apprehend 1 or 2 or 10 smoke belching vehicles like in EDSA, you got to do it 24/7. You just can't do it every now and then. Because otherwise, what is the point of an environmental law? Yes, it's consistent, but all told, again, success stories, but still a lot to do, and that's always the challenge, because we're a growing population and there are more cars on the road, and we need more traffic management, and we need better fuel, we need cleaner and better monitoring of emissions, etc.
So, moving on, is the government implementing the right programs in terms of preserving our food chain to ensure future generations, let's say, don't go hungry?
Well, Secretary Alcala has done a lot in terms, even when we were congressmen together, he really was very big on promoting organic and more sustainable agriculture. And I know that is what he's doing on a nationwide scale now, and in collaboration with agencies of government on the environment, on social welfare, poverty reduction, everything that has to do with really ensuring that farmers don't just have productive harvest, but really sustainable, in the sense that you have to have the forest to have the irrigation, and you have to have the rice and all of the agricultural produce. So, but also again, the president is very keen on making sure that food security is right on the top of the priority list, because if we can't feed a growing population, I mean, we really cannot sustain everything else also in an economy. It's really food, it's self-sufficiency. And we're moving along, and the whole government is moving along in that direction, so, I would say, very well.
So always in the range of like food production, industrial food production especially, and other types of production. For viewers who are wondering, is the Philippines adhering to any international protocol or treaty that demands the reduction of carbon emission?
Yes, in fact, we were in the latest climate talks in Durban, South Africa, over a year ago, and some of us, the work of the Climate Change Commission, which is chaired by the President, in fact. And we have a secretary also for climate change, Secretary Bebet Gozon, and others who are really on the forefront also of ensuring that we keep to our commitments, because the Kyoto Protocol sadly has not been renewed. But there are continuing talks to ensure still and all that we keep to emission standards, as well as carbon reduction, mitigation, not just adaptation to climate change, but mitigation, meaning we shift to renewable energy, we shift to really the less polluting sources, and that means really shifting a lot of the way manufacturing, industries, the whole shift to a greener economy. And the President even signed in November 2011 the 18-year spread of a national climate action plan. So it's not just the international commitments, we have very clear targets domestically for the next 18 years until 2030.
So sir, can we say that as Filipinos, as people, are more conscious of our roles and responsibilities in protecting the environment?
Yes, absolutely. I think Facebook, social media, the younger generation, there's really far more consciousness than there was, I would even say, 10 years ago. And I think with media's help, schools, And I guess a general consciousness of global cooperation, it's there. We just have to get more local governments and new leaders, especially in this coming elections, who are far more ecologically minded and driven by sustainable development targets and not just short-term political objectives. So I think, but overall, yes, I think environmental protection is becoming a clearer thrust, even amongst children. You see that, you know, even recycling, being conscious of carbon footprint, etc. So we're getting there.
Well, we hope that we hope that at least this interview tonight has inspired more viewers at home to, in their little, do something, give back to the environment. So thank you very much, Secretary Nereus Acosta, Presidential Advisor on the Environment.